My name is Emily. I've written a story about my father and his life. He is 96 years old now. I have written this story from his perspective. Here's a preview of what to expect. Adventures of a prairie boy who sought thrills for a century, from rural life in Oklahoma to surviving the golden years with World War II in between. A life in 3 acts. Act 1, World War II paratrooper. I've never been afraid of anything, and at 12,000 feet in the air, I packed my parachute wrong. Act 2, childhood, death-defying feats and encounters with outlaws. Act 3, my love life and escapes from 2 hospitals and a nursing home. Leslie wasn't much of a wife, but she was one heck of an accomplice. Chapter 1. At 12,000 feet in the air, I packed my parachute wrong. This wasn't a rookie mistake, it was deliberate. It's not that I wanted to die, but to feel the thrill of living on the edge. Even when I first joined the Army, it was purely for adventure. The top brass tested the guys to see if they could tackle the intensity of jumping out of a plane in midair. I didn't have to be tested, I volunteered. And now, at my 18th jump, I needed something more. Jumping out of a plane had become boring to me. The air crackled with excitement as it did on my first jump. The plane loudly rumbled on without any fear in my heart or second thoughts. I really believed that nothing bad would ever happen to me, and I live life that way. Even now, I'm thinking about packing my parachute wrong on the next jump. This isn't the first time I've cheated death or done something perilous. It makes me think back to the time of Washing Machine Charlie. That's what we called him. The enemy pilot and his plane with the distinct sound of the engine turning with its rhythmical force. We could hear him coming from far away. All the other soldiers knew, when they heard that sound, to race out of the barracks and scamper into their foxholes. A bomb would be dropped from his plane to destroy us. Everyone would make a run too early. I knew how long it would take for the bomb to drop from the sound of the plane. Every time I made it into the foxhole in time, and I would be the last guy out of bed. But one night, I came the closest to dying. The whooshing sound of the engine came, and all the guys jumped out of bed and raced into their foxholes. This night, I fell back asleep. I suddenly awoke to the terrible whistle the bomb makes as it speeds through the air. It was close, very close. I leapt out of bed and ran as fast as I could. I made a last-ditch effort to jump towards my foxhole. I slid in while scraping my face and chest in dirt. The guys in the regiment thought I was crazy, but I didn't drink, gamble, or smoke. I didn't need a vice, since being a daredevil gave me the thrills I needed to make life exhilarating. Growing up in rural Oklahoma, I had wanted a bigger life. I knew there was excitement beyond the quiet prairies. As one of 11 children, you'd have thought I had enough excitement. My brothers, sisters, and I just seemed to stumble upon adventure. Our favorite pastime was fighting. Each other, of course, but also anyone we could convince. For instance, one day, my brother, sister, and I were walking down a country road. In the distance, we could see 3 kids much bigger and older than us. We hadn't seen anyone else that day, so here was our chance to fight. How would we do with kids much bigger than us? As it turned out, something very convenient showed up. Earlier that day, some hunters had killed and skinned several possums. The possum tails are rough and scaly. The hunters would leave the tail attached. We found the skinned possums in the ditch and realized what a grand fighting weapon they would be. Each of us grabbed 2 possums by their tails. They were easy to hang on to this way. We hid them behind our backs and waited. The other kids finally came down to where we were on the road. My sister, the oldest and usual spokesman for our gang, said, "Hey, y'all want to fight?" They looked at us three puny kids and called out, "Sure," not knowing how especially strong and violent my sister could be. We drew our possums like a Wild West gunfighter and started swinging. For my next installment, I'll be telling more stories about my dad's childhood. And remember, this happened a long time ago, so it was back before they had television. It wasn't invented yet. So I hope you enjoyed it, and keep listening in as I can tell you some more stories. Thank you.